Ni hao. Hi, I'm Siska Becker. Right now, I'm at the residence of the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Indonesia, His Excellency, Mr. Kang. I'll be talking to him about Indonesia and China's relations, especially after the visit done by President Joko Widodo in Beijing, meeting with President Xi Jinping. Stay tuned in Talking Points to learn more about Indonesia's and China bilateral relations.
Good morning, Siska.
Good morning, Your Excellency.
Welcome today.
Thank you
Take
for
a seat,
having
please.
me. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Point. I'm Siska Becker. I'll be your host for this edition of Talking Point, where I'll be talking with a very special guest, His Excellency Kang, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China. Hello, Your Excellency.
Good morning, Siska.
Good morning. First of all, please allow me to express my gratitude. Thank you so much for this amazing opportunity to talk with you in your residence. It's a very beautiful house, so thank you for having us here.
It's good to have you here.
Okay, now I want to talk to you about your take on one of the biggest role of Indonesia in the diplomatic relations right now, the presidency of the G20. Now, based on your geopolitical knowledge and also your diplomatic experience, how do you see Indonesia's role as it is now holds the presidency of the G20?
The first sentence I might say that it's not an easy year for Indonesia to host the G20. The second sentence I would like to say that we congratulate Indonesia already, actually for all its efforts to proceed with the agenda agreed upon by all members of G20 this year, especially you know that just in the beginning of this month, Indonesia very successfully hosted the G20 Foreign Minister meeting in Bali. It was for the first time, actually, according to my memory, that Indonesia managed to get all members sit down together under the same roof and discuss about all those important issues. So you know that actually this year is not easy for Indonesia and for all members of G20 because the geopolitical issue in Europe and all its impact actually on the international arena. And secondly, you know that actually the economic recovery from pandemic has not been easy for the vast majority of the world, especially for the developing countries. So actually it's a very tough job for Indonesia this year, but Indonesia has got the support from almost all members of G20, especially from China.
Everywhere on the world, we are facing so many challenges because of the pandemic and also the geopolitical stability. But when people say there are challenges, there's also opportunity. Yeah. Now, based on your experience, what do you think would be the best way of Indonesia to cement their position in the global diplomatic relationship with its presidency in the G20?
Stick to the principles. Indonesia is very famous for its traditional principle in its foreign policy, that independent policy. So actually, from the very beginning, I think the Indonesian government was quite right in sticking to the principle of G20, that, for example, on the participation, all members are equal. So it should include the representation from all members, whether they have different opinions on this or other issues. And secondly, stick to the main theme, not only agreed upon by the members already, but also exactly address what are the pressing issues for today's world. The main theme designed and decided by Indonesian government for this year's G20, recover together, recover stronger, is very, very relevant. Yes. So in spite of what happened actually during the whole process and in spite of different opinions, I think Indonesian government was very good in sticking to this main theme.
Okay, now one of the main challenges, as you also mentioned before, is the economic recovery, especially post-pandemic. Now, how do you think the role of Indonesia, as it holds the G20 presidency, on the global economic recovery?
Indonesia actually is not only the host of G20 for this year. Indonesia is also a very important emerging economy and also very important developing country. So actually, it understands, it shares a lot of common interests and common grounds for those who need most help in capacity building, in addressing their difficulties, and who are in lack of sufficient capacity in getting out of the difficulties from the pandemic. So that's why, if you look at the agenda set for not only the ministerial meetings, but even for actually the approaching summit, I think all those topics are quite relevant for the developing countries. So this is a very special role. This is a very unique role that Indonesian government could play, and China supports that.
Okay, I could tell from your assessment so far that you follow the G20 and all the meetings and what's been happening around it. And maybe you also know about one of the most talked about talking point of the G20 and Indonesia's role in it, that Indonesia is determined to bring all the G20 members to come to the summit in mid-November this year. How do you think Indonesia should do in order to get all the 20 members of the G20 to attend?
As I told you just now, actually, Indonesia has already succeeded in getting all members under the same roof, discussing the same topic, just in this month in Bali during the foreign minister meeting. So it's very important that actually Indonesian government and all those supporting this idea should make the idea that all members are equal members of G20, make this perception prevailing among all the multilateral arena.
Okay, maybe you also heard about how the whole world watched President Joko Widodo when we visited Russia and also Ukraine.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
We appreciate that a lot. Actually, during President Joko Widodo's recent visit to China, actually he also received great thumbs up from the Chinese leadership on this. It's not easy to mediate actually on this very difficult and tough issue, but President Joko Widodo was courageous enough to do so, and he did get some achievements on this.
Okay, because as we discussed earlier, there is a lot of political instability going on around the world right now. In every part of the world, there are parts of the world where there have people from opposing ideologies.
Yeah.
How do you think Indonesia can help in shaping this stability to be back in the world, especially with its role as the G20 presidency?
To advocate kind of inclusiveness on all today's topical issues. You know that actually in today's world, in this great international community, you have countries from various backgrounds, have different priorities in their development, and might have different preferences actually in their own way of development. But we always believe that, and I think that's also the idea of, that's also the perception of the Indonesian government. Only the people in one country know what best fits into their own interests, what is the best way of development. So we always believe that we should respect the legitimate and equal rights of each people to choose their own way of development. But on the international arena, we should also respect the legitimate and equal rights for all members of international committee to participate in the equal way on all the international issues. So this is something I think Indonesian government, in light of its principled position of independent policy, they are still pursuing that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. It's been very enlightening so far. We're going to take a little bit of break, but we'll be back soon. Everybody, please stay right here at Talking Points. We'll be right back with His Excellency Lu Kang, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China. You're still watching Talking Points, and I'll continue my discussion with His Excellency Kang, the Ambassador of the People's Republic of China. Now, first, I would like to give you also a belated welcome to Jakarta.
Thank you very much.
Since you've been here for about 5 months.
5 months. A little bit more than 5 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I just want to ask you, how are you enjoying your post so far in Indonesia?
Oh, actually, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to serve as China's ambassador to Indonesia. Actually, in the past 5 months, I also enjoyed my life, my acquaintance with all the colleagues and friends here. The only problem is that actually my friends here kept me very busy and did not spare me much time actually for leisuring and touring around.
I was just going to ask, do you have time to visit any tourist destinations or maybe learn about the culture here in Indonesia?
I try,
Okay.
but as I said, actually the schedule has been very busy, but it's good because you know that this busy schedule reflect or demonstrate actually the very close relationship and the interaction between our two countries. But I did try with my colleagues in the embassy. I ever traveled to the Bogor biological.
Oh yes, of course.
And also I did have some chance to travel to Bali Island.
Oh, that's nice.
And I love the paintings in Ubud very much. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I must say that one of my most favorite food in the world is Chinese food.
Thank you.
But because I'm Indonesian,
Yeah.
I've lived in Indonesia my whole life. When I say Chinese food, of course, I mean Indonesian Chinese food.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, have you tried Chinese Indonesian food, and how does it compare to Chinese food back home?
Okay, you know that the food I take the most, of course, is Chinese food in my residence in the Chinese embassy. But I do find whenever I travel around, especially outside Jakarta, actually I did have a lot of chance to try some local food here.
Oh, okay.
I did find a lot of similarities actually between the Indonesian food and the Chinese food.
Okay.
For example, people take a lot of rice, both in China and here in Indonesia. And I think there are some food, there's some cuisine, I think almost the same.
Okay.
Like the tofu, the noodle, all this kind of, and the spring roll.
Yes.
You can find almost everywhere in China as well.
Yeah, the cuisine here is actually, yes, very much influenced by Chinese cuisine, and we cannot live without rice, so we have that also in common. Can you tell us what's your favorite Indonesian food so far?
I hope I could try more, but so far, according to my very limited experience, actually when I was in Bali, I tried the dirty duck, what we call the bebek bangil.
Bebek bangil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
fried duck.
Sorry for my pronunciation.
It's okay, I got it.
Yeah,
It's the fried duck.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also the oxtail soup.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sop buntut.
Yeah, sorry. I try to catch up with my bahasa.
Okay. Now, I also want to tell you about a personal experience of mine when I visited China back in 2011. It was a long time ago. I visited Xi'an. It was very interesting. There was like a very famous historical site, the terracotta warriors.
Yeah.
But what caught my attention is how all the majority of people there were Muslims.
Oh, yeah.
And it was very fascinating to see, and there was a lot of similarities as well with the cultural dancing. The culture is very similar to Indonesia, and I was wondering, did you notice the same thing when you came to Indonesia and saw the culture here?
Yeah, actually, you know that during the past 5 months, I did have some chance to visit some mosques and also to visit some Muslim groups here.
Okay.
Many of them told me that for those who have been to China, they were very impressed actually about the Muslim groups, about the mosques, and the life, just the routine life. And just the routine life of their Muslim brothers and sisters in China. Actually, so I don't find too much differences, actually, between all those routine life practice, normal practice, and also the Muslim groups, both here in Indonesia and also in China. But as I told you, hopefully after G20 this year, I could spare more time, travel more around.
Yeah, I wish you have that chance as
Thank you
well.
very much.
So cultural-wise, there's actually a lot of opportunities for collaborations between China and Indonesia. But there's actually one project that is going on right now and is taking a lot of attention between Indonesia and China, which is the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed train. Could you please tell us what's the progress on that project and how do you think Indonesia can take advantage of this prestigious project with China?
You know that I have been visited this project on site for a couple of times already. This one has been what we call actually a flagship.
Yeah.
A flagship project actually in the whole process, in the whole cooperation process between China and Indonesia. Definitely that will benefit people a lot.
Yes.
You know that actually, obviously I found that the whole project has been going very smoothly now, and almost over 91% of the construction are already there.
Okay.
And all the 3 tunnels along the road has already gone the breakthrough. We have already witnessed the breakthrough. So it seems that actually all relevant agencies in charge of that on both sides, and all the participating companies, the workers, they cooperate very well. I think after consulting and talking to all my counterparts from the Indonesian government and also the participating companies, we found that actually we have sufficient confidence that it will be completed on schedule by June next year.
Okay, that's very exciting to hear. We look forward to more advancements on this project, of course, so everyone can benefit.
Oh, definitely. That will very much shorten the commuting time from about 3 hours now between these 2 metropolitans to around just 40 minutes.
Okay.
That will create more than at least 5,000 jobs along the line.
Okay.
And definitely that will facilitate the flow of people and the flow of goods.
Yes.
And that will create a lot of more potentials actually for the business and the tourism around this region. This part actually, so far as I understand, is the most populated, densely populated part of Indonesia.
That's true.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about this project, everybody is so optimistic. And I just want to ask, with the geopolitical landscape now shifting a bit, where China is becoming more and more at the front of technological investments, what do you think of the chances of more projects like this happening between China and Indonesia?
First of all, I think both governments, both sides would like to have this one accomplished on schedule.
Yeah.
That could set a very good example.
Yes.
And then the benefits, when people see the benefits, I think more and more people, more and more localities will be more enthusiastic about this kind of projects.
Of course.
We appreciate very much actually the determination and the efforts by the Indonesian government actually to upgrade its industry, to speed up the economic growth, and to much better off people's livelihood here. So there are a lot of potentials. And for me, actually, after my discussion with many of the Chinese investors here, we also see the enthusiasm of coming to Indonesia to work together. You know that actually, just a couple of days ago, when President Jokowi was in Beijing, actually, both governments agreed that we should extend the cooperation within the framework of China's Belt and Road Initiative and also Indonesian government's advocacy for the global maritime fulcrum. So those are very important strategic framework.
All right. Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for sharing with us your personal experience and very valuable insights. Now, I want to talk to you more about the relation between China and Indonesia, but first we're going to take another little break.
Oh, okay, sure.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this. You're still watching Talking Points, and now we'll be talking about China-Indonesia relations with His Excellency Lu Kang, the People's Republic of China's ambassador. Your Excellency, everybody is so excited to know that President Joko Widodo has finally arrived in China a few days ago to meet with President Xi Jinping and hold a meeting there. Now, how do you see the progress between our two nations in terms of bilateral relations?
Sorry to hear that you say finally he is in Beijing, but actually he has been the first ever foreign head of state visiting Beijing ever since the Winter Olympic Games. I would rather say actually he has been the first one actually in the past 2.5 years. Visiting China. So you know that actually it's a very special arrangement. And actually the hospitality he received in Beijing actually is very warming actually to all of us. This has been a very important, this was a very important visit. And if you look at the readouts from both sides, you know that a lot of deliverables have reached, although in a very short visit, just within 1 day. I think there are 3 dimensions that we should pay attention to. First, both after the discussion of the 2 heads of state, both governments commit themselves to building a China-Indonesia community with a shared future. You know that we have already been comprehensive strategic partners ever since the year 2013. That's already laid a good basis, sound basis for our cooperation on all the fronts. And this framework, when it's in place, I mean the community with shared future, when it's in place, definitely that will provide an even broader, even sounder framework to strengthen our bilateral cooperations and make our ties, our bonds even tighter. The second dimension we should look at is the areas that both governments agree to explore more opportunities for cooperation. Not only, for example, on those traditional areas like infrastructure, like agriculture, although we make some further commitments, China would like to import more, not only pineapple, but also other agricultural foods. And we also commit to import 1 million additional tons of crude palm oil. But also in some new areas, like what President Jokowi and the Indonesian government attach importance to, for example, the digital economy, the green economy. So actually, they outlined all those areas that both parties have the interest, have the potential, have the capacity to work on. Besides a joint statement covering the agreements of our 2 heads of state, I think both governments also signed 7 documents governing the cooperation in all the areas. And the third dimension I think we have to look at is both governments agree that in today's world, China and Indonesia as 2 major developing countries and emerging economies, we share a lot of common grounds, we share a lot of common interests, and we share a lot of common responsibilities that we should work together and mobilize the international forces to address those pressing issues in today's world, especially for the interests, benefits of the developing countries, which, as I said, might be in lack of sufficient capacity in getting out of poverty, in building up their own capacities in addressing today's problems.
Do you think there is any chance to review Indonesia's debt since China is one of the donor countries for Indonesia?
Actually, I think the debt issue is something people talk a lot these days.
True.
But I don't think Indonesia people should be very much worried about that. According to what I learned from the data, from the stats promulgated by World Bank and IMF, actually the economic situation, the financial situation of Indonesia is in very good shape. Even we look at the past 2 decades of this year, I think the increase rate of your foreign debt is much lower than your GDP growth rate. And if we come to the specific national proportion of your foreign debt, China is holding no more than 1%. I think it's just some 0.7 or 0.8% of the foreign debt, of Indonesia's foreign debt. And it's, I think the number 1 is Singapore, and the number 2, number 3 is US, Japanese. So I don't think that's a big problem for Indonesian people to worry about. And when we come to the foreign debt, I know that actually it's been already a topical issue headlines of quite a few media, and some people also talk about what's China's responsibility on this foreign date when they talk about Africa and some other developing world.
Yeah.
I have to say that people should try to look at exact data.
Yeah.
Should not just follow what actually people might allege for whatever reason. For example, let's come to Africa. Let's go to Africa.
Okay.
According to what has been already promulgated by the World Bank, for all the foreign dates from Africa, China only accounted for no more than 12% of that.
Okay.
But more than 1/3, more than 35% of that actually were held by the Western financing agencies. So that's why actually among all the international, all the multilateral arena framework, like G20, China has always advocated with many other developing countries, governments, that the Western governments should urge those financing agencies to participating in the debt relief initiative within the G20 framework. That's much more important.
Now, I want to go back to President Joko Widodo's visit to China. We saw that the Daily China, which is one of the biggest newspapers in China.
China Daily.
Yes, China Daily, reported on the meeting and actually put it on the front page for 2 days in a row. How big is this meeting going to have as an impact between the China-Indonesia relations and President Joko Widodo's profile in China?
This is a very important visit. We always believe that actually the visit or the exchanges between the head of states could always give a strategic guidance and a strong impetus actually to our bilateral relationship. So you see what came out from this visit. As I said, both presidents agreed that we should work together to build a community for shared future. That provides a very sound and very broad framework to explore all the possibilities, potentials of our bilateral relationship. And also, you see people are quite enthusiastic in Beijing about President Jokowi's visit. You can see the national flag of our two countries along the main roads, along the high-speed way connecting the capital, the city, and also the airport. And that also keeps people's awareness, again, about the importance of this bilateral relationship, both bilaterally, because in today's world, in the context of the difficulties of economic recovery for almost all countries, our two countries have a lot of potentials to carry out more cooperation that could benefit our two peoples and even this region at large. And also that will bring about the awareness of our two peoples, how important it will be for our two governments, our two countries to work together on all the international arena to address all those global challenges that could much better benefit not only Chinese people and the Indonesian people, but all the developing countries.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. Thank you for having us in your residence. Hopefully we get to meet again in future events held by the China and Indonesia Platform Network in Global Relations. And I wish you all the best for your tenure here in Jakarta, Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Siska. Thank you.
Thank you for watching Talking Point. We'll see you at the next edition in Talking Point with me, Siska Becker.